Okay, so I built this shower about 2 years ago, and it's been great. It hasn't had any issues except till now. There is one issue, and we're over here on the West Coast, and we get earthquakes, and so recently there was a pretty large earthquake. It shook this house, and I think that might have been what caused this, but there's a grout line here that cracked, and you know, it is a corner here, but we have this quarter round on here, so corners do tend to crack first, you know, just from the movement and stuff. And so anyways, this ended up cracking. I'll get you a better shot of what it looks like. It starts from about here, and then goes all the way down to about here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna try to carefully get out some of that old grout, if I can, without popping these off, these quarter rounds. So if I can, I'm gonna try to do that, and then I'm gonna mix up some more grout and squeeze it in there to fill it. So it's gonna be somewhat of an easy fix, not a big deal. It is hot mopped behind this, so even if water did get in here, I'm pretty sure it's not actually penetrating the wood or anything like that. But that being said, we don't want continuous water getting in there, so need to fix that. So one thing is, I'm gonna see how soft this is. Wow, this grout is really soft right here too. Well, it's gonna make it easy to take it out. And then one thing that's really important is to try to save some of the grout that you originally did this with, because, okay, it looks like a white grout, but it's not white. And, you know, there's a lot of different shades, and you know, and it's best to keep a little bit extra in case things like this happen. So, because if I were to try to guess which grout I used 2 years ago on this, honestly, I wouldn't be able to tell you. Luckily, I still have some, so it's gonna be a perfect match. So I really recommend anytime you're doing tile work, you know, save a couple extra pieces of tile as well, because you know, you never know if something's gonna fall and break or crack a tile, and then you have that tile later to put back in. I can't stress this enough. I mean, tile gets discontinued all the time, and years down the road, you won't be able to get that tile anymore sometimes. And then same with the grout. So you really want to put some of that, you know, in some storage area and just keep it. So. Now, if this grout was really hard to get out, you can actually use some vinegar, and that'll soften it up. I'm actually surprised how soft this grout is. Get out right now. No wonder it cracked. I'm just like not even pushing really, just letting the blade do the work here. It is just coming out so easy. Maybe it was a bad mix on this little spot to begin with. It's possible. Try to get out as much as I can so the new grout could go in there really good. Now, what we're going to be using is a non-sanded grout so that it can go into these smaller cracks. You have to be really careful quarter quarter rounds go on there, I mean, there's only so much surface that the thin set can stick to it, so I really don't want to disturb that at all. That's the last thing we want to do is break one of those off. Then I have to chip out all the thin set behind it to make room for new thin set and all that. And at this point, all that's unnecessary. This is really just a grout thing. The tile itself is still bonded well. But anytime you're scraping out the grout like this, it's a bit risky, so gotta be really careful. And we're pretty much done there. Got it all out. Successfully, I'm happy with that. Looks really good. Then I'm just gonna clean up this mess here, and we'll, I'm gonna mix up a little bit of the grout and put it in there. So you can see now how I've cleaned that all out pretty well. Over a 1/16 of a gap to get in there. And just can't get it, if I squeeze it in there real well and push on it. The other thing is, I can't remember if, had we just put these on and maybe I was trying to be careful not to push too much on these while squeezing the grout in this area. That's possible as well, but I kind of doubt it. It looked like it was in there quite a ways in. It just was awfully soft. That could have been just because it had recently been used and it was wet still. But we grout it. So this is the grout that I had used originally. This is the same box. It was already opened. It was called Prism Ash. So it's almost like a light gray looking color on here. So that's why you gotta be sure that you keep the original one you had so you don't forget what it was. Also, another thing to point out on here is that this stuff doesn't require a sealer. So here, stain resistant, no sealer required. So it has it like built in somehow. And so the reason that this failed, still, we're not completely sure, you know, but it wasn't because of a lack of a sealer or anything like that. So anyways, I mixed it up. I have the batch of it right here. And I'm just gonna go ahead and fill it. With this rubber float here for grouting. And here's my mix. So, of course, I went with the directions, you know, mixed it up, waited 5 minutes, remixed it. So here we go. Got a nice consistency there. Also, I have a bucket of water and a sponge right here beside me. So it's ready to go for cleanup. Also, when you're grouting, you want to really make sure you push and squeeze that grout into the crack as much as possible. So just make sure you really get it in there, really work it in. Now it's done. I'm just trying to extra work it in at this point. And then clean it off really well, so it makes your cleanup job easier, because you do want to let this sit before cleaning it for 10 to 20 minutes here. So, and then once that sets up, you don't want to make it too hard to clean off. So you want to leave it kind of nice. Okay, that's it. We'll let it sit. See what it says on here. 10 to 20 minute wait for firm joints, 10 to 20 minutes. And then we'll lightly clean off excess grout with a damp sponge. And then you let it sit for 3 hours and then remove the haze with a cheesecloth or a wrung out sponge. Or I like to use a microfiber towel sometimes. And then wait 4 hours in total before using the surface is what it says. So, because this is a shower and it's gonna get all that water, I'll probably wait probably at least a good 24 hours before I use it, just out of precaution. But there you go. So we're gonna let that sit. In the meantime, I'm gonna clean up these tools. Okay, so now that it's been over 20 minutes, this looks awfully dry. And so we're gonna give it the final wipe down with the bucket of water here. And a sponge. And we wanna make sure that we squeeze all the water out of the sponge mostly. So it's not too wet. Because what we don't want to do is take out too much of the grout. We want to leave it pretty flush. So I'll show you what it looks like. So right now, this is where we started, all the way down to about here. So it's all filled in now. And I'm just gonna wipe it down. There it is. So that's pretty much it. I'm just gonna let it sit now again for about 3 hours and then come back and just wipe some of the haze off with cheesecloth, or I'll probably just use a microfiber towel. Okay, it's now been the 3 hours and I'm just gonna wipe off the haze. Let me show you what it looks like. So here is our repair. You can see it's still a little dark right here, so it's still drying, but it actually dried like almost completely to the color. It's like a lot whiter right here, a little darker here. So there's a little thicker area there, so it's still drying a little, but it's probably hard to tell if you can see the haze here, but I don't know if you can see that line I just put there through the haze. So that's what we're trying to take off right now. The thing is, this particular tile, it's hard to see the haze. But some tile, you can really see it. So, but either way, we're gonna get it all out. And it's coming off very easily here, and it's just a small area. So this is pretty simple. Now, I'm not using a cheesecloth or a microfiber towel. I'm just using just a white, just a rag. But for this particular little area and with this particular tile, that's all I need right now. comes off super easy on here. So just make sure we don't miss anything, because with that, if that haze sits overnight, it'd be a lot harder to get it all out. So you want to make sure to get it right now while it's nice and easy. And that's it. Hope you guys enjoy.